This is Titletown Sound.
If Joe Flacco is worth a fourth-round pick, Antonio Brown might be worth a negative fifth-round pick.
Again, I'm just a fat dude sitting on the couch, but I watch a lot of football.
I'm here to kick ass and make steaks, and I'm all out of steaks.
Year one, he was like, all right, guys, I don't know what Dom taught you, but you need to have 11 guys on the field.
A trained orangutan could have done a better job than Ron Zerks. I mean, not even like well-trained.
Welcome, Packers fans, to the Titletown Sound podcast episode 204. Does that sound right? 204.
Yeah.
All right, episode 204. It's Friday night, 10:30, time to party. I'm your excellent host, Chris Christofko. With me, as always, is James. James, how you doing?
Party on, Chris.
Party on.
I'm doing fantastic. I'm doing real well.
And now, a man who, if he was an ice cream flavor, would be pralines. And, well, you know the rest. It's Kevin Christofko. Kevin, how you doing?
I feel like I need one of those big blue drinks with the big straw and the umbrellas in it so I can call the camera underneath the table to talk about all my secrets and fears.
That's a Wayne's World deep cut there. So
Deep cut.
All right. We have as of 2 days ago when we put off the broadcast of our show because, real life got in the way, we didn't have much to talk about. But now we got quite a bit tonight. And before we get to all the news and everything that's happening, let's go to the sound off.
It's time to sound off.
When the news of Mike Daniels' release was first announced, I saw the reaction on Twitter, and my immediate response to that was going to be, stop overreacting to players being cut. Stop getting attached to these guys. You don't know these people. They might not be good guys. You know how? And then I realized, how am I any better than the true fan guy if I'm going to complain about your reaction to losing who might have been your favorite player? Yeah, we don't know these guys, but we get attached to them. It's hard just to root for laundry. We start rooting for the personalities, and Mike Daniels had a big personality. And no matter what happened behind the scenes, a lot of guys are going to miss him. A lot of fans are going to miss him. And certainly that D-line may miss him as well. But we are in an era where there is very little loyalty. Not necessarily from the players. I don't expect them to be loyal per se, but from teams. Teams have to win now. And it looks like Daniels simply didn't fit the Packers scheme or what they were looking for, or maybe his attitude wasn't working. And we'll talk about that later in the show. But all of that doesn't matter when it's your favorite player who's leaving the team, when it's the guy who you wanted to see line up every week, especially when that guy now will line up against your team twice a season. All right, so before we get into the news and what's going on in the Packers world, we have a feature that, I don't know if we started this on the bonus show, guys, so maybe people aren't familiar with it, but it is the secret word. If you ever watched Pee-wee's Playhouse or whatever Groucho Marx show 70 years ago, there's a secret word that has been picked for today's broadcast, and when it is used during the broadcast by someone other than me, because I'm aware of it, we will have to chug a beer or whatever Kevin's drinking.
I forgot to get a drink.
You forgot,
it's up in the refrigerator.
So then,
next week you'll have to do two.
Right. So I will chug. So anyway, I need you gentlemen. This is an honor thing here. You need to close your eyes while I show the viewers the secret word. All right. All good.
Qualify.
Here it is. This is the secret word.
The password is.
They're all good. When that word is uttered, if we remember, I'll call it out and everybody will drink, except for Kevin, because
I'm not very smart. Like I said, I don't multitask well, so.
And feel free to play along at home, just not while you're in the car.
Yeah, well, that's always a bad idea.
Sounds like you live in your car if that's the situation. But anyway, I'm not here to judge.
Hey, work for Jewel. Why can't it work for any of our fans?
Hey, before we go on, guys, I got these socks at Bed Bath & Beyond for half price.
Beauty.
Yeah,
that's
found
good
Baltimore
podcasting.
Bed Bath & Beyond.
All right, it's time to get to the news.
spanning the globe to bring you all of the news that's fit to podcast. It's Kevin Christofko.
All right, Kevin, you got your new socks. Do you have the first headline ready to go?
I do, and I have them written down so I don't have to squint at the screen. I'll squint at my paper.
Here we go.
Packers think highly of Lowry. Inc. 3-year extension.
So you went high, low there.
I did, yeah.
Highly of
I did.
Lowry. All right. I mean, I see where you're going. Hopefully they get better as we go on.
They don't. Okay.
Okay, good. So the Packers re-signed Dean Lowry before the start of training camp. James, is this a move that you were expecting to hear?
No, it wasn't. But to be fair, like when it comes to training camp, I don't expect to hear of re-signings. I just expect to hear, I get giddy and emotional and happy that we're even having training camp to begin with. So I don't think of players, getting re-signed. But I'm glad they did it. I think Dean Lowry is a very underrated player, has been for a couple of years now. He's really he's a stout defender, and he does his job well. And he's there, he's consistent, he's available, which is more than you can say for some people on the team. So I think he's earned it.
Yeah, agreed. And as we'll talk about later, his role on this team now has become even more important.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's kind of sad to think about, but the two pillars of the defensive line, or the front seven, really, other than Blake Martinez, are now Kenny Clark and Dean Lowry.
Yeah, but how do you feel about that? Like, is that? I mean, so let's take. I mean, I know there's an attachment to Mike Daniels, and we're going to talk about him later. But those two players are very capable, though.
Oh, they are, absolutely, and the way that Pettin is able to use the people that he has, the way that he's able to scheme up. He schemed Kyler Fackrell into 10 sacks or whatever it was last year. I mean, he can. I think he's going to be able to figure out a way to use Dean Lowry and Kenny Clark in a way that's going to work with the Smiths. I'm looking forward to the defense this year, man. I really am.
Yeah, I am too. Now, Kevin, James made a good point. Like, if Mike Pettin can scheme Kyler Fackrell into a football player, he can make Dean Lowry into an All-Pro. I mean, maybe a little harsh on Fackrell, but
no, and I mean that's kind of one of the key takeaways that I have from the offseason too, is that all these acquisitions, I feel like they've got a plan for all of them. And I also wanted to just bring up the fact that I'm pretty sure that James said Geddy Lee at some point during his previous answer.
He's a modern-day warrior.
I thought I heard that, so I just wanted to make sure, see if he was like sneaking that in there. But yeah, I agree with.
Secret word.
That's a secret. It went from cornhole to Geddy Lee. I think that it's important. No, not important. I don't know where I was going with that, but I agree with James in that this defense is going to be interesting, and I'm looking forward to it even more so than last year, I think.
Yeah, I agree, and I think because you got Pettin in the same system for another year, you've got better talent on this team,
right? It's like what to expect from the system, but now what can you get out of the talent that starts to become this new regime's talent versus more of the old Ted Thompson stuff.
Right. So for some reason, guys, I don't think we are showing up live, even though we have said we are broadcasting live. So this is a shame. But it makes me feel better the fact that we have 0 viewers right now live.
I just assume we always have 0 viewers / listeners. So.
All right, so let's go to I'm going to try to fix it while we're broadcasting. If we're ready, we can go to our second news story. Ready, Kev?
Yeah. Let's go for it. It's a wet, hot Wisconsin summer. Camp's open.
I like that reference. That was good.
So of course, this story relies heavily on my reporting of what's going on with Packers training camp, because I'm the one who has the schedule up. So. Packers training camp opened on the 25th. That was yesterday as we record today. And it opens with 4 practices in a row. The Packers have the 10:15 morning practices. They're off on Monday, 3 more practices, and then they go to family night. James, for people who haven't been to family night before, tell them about that, because most of our viewers, of course, our listeners know what family night is, but there are some that might not be familiar with it.
It's a lot of fun. It really is. You know, you wouldn't think it would be necessarily just because you're literally watching a practice.
Right.
There used to be back in the day. It used to be a scrimmage, and it was like a full-fledged almost game. And then people started getting hurt, and McCarthy changed it to just a scrimmage. But
And a massage.
yeah, he went and got a massage. And then he screamed at some high school basketball refs, and then he changed it to a practice. And there's a lot of stuff going on. So like even before it begins, it's a game day atmosphere. There's tailgating. There's people just having a good time out in the streets and the parking lots. Just like a normal game day. Then you get inside, and the beer still costs $10 a can. They don't lower the beer prices for practice.
Well, that's probably a good idea.
Probably.
Just going to put it out. It could
yeah.
get ugly real fast if they lowered the beer prices.
But there's a lot going on. It's you got all the position groups in different parts of the field doing their thing. You got quarterbacks throwing in nets and running. It's just there's a lot of stimulation. A lot to behold.
The time that I went, I did find it difficult to follow at times, because there is so much going on.
It really is, but at the same time, it's for a lot of people, they're $10 tickets to get into family night. So for a lot of people, that's really the only time they can afford to go do anything at Lambeau Field that involves watching football. So
right,
it's a great time. I've enjoyed it every time I've been there. Afterwards, they have one of the best fireworks and laser shows you'll see around. Even the players come back out from the locker room, lasers, and watch it. So I mean, it's super cool. They give away jerseys to random fans. It's a good time. I can't recommend it enough. If you only get to do one thing in Lambeau Field for the year, go do that.
And the other thing that we have going on this year, Kevin, which is different from last year, is an actual joint practice with the Texans. Packers haven't done this much in the past. What do you think about joint practices in the NFL? Good idea, bad idea, doesn't matter.
I think it's an idea. No, I mean, I guess it's a good idea because you get it's a little bit different look. I guess practicing against the same people time and time again could get a little stale. So maybe it's a little bit fresher for the players. I don't know from like a injury standpoint, if it's any safer or less safe or, whatever that may be. But as long as like it's not significantly more dangerous, I like it. I think it's interesting.
I think the fun part with joint practices every year, James, is the joint fights.
Every year.
Yeah, I think every year, and Aaron Rodgers actually alluded to that a little bit yesterday in his post practice, press conference at his locker. Somebody,
what do you talk about?
Well, somebody asked him, "So are you excited for this joint practice with the Texans?" And he was like, "Well, yeah, but we need to be kind of wary of the typical fighting that happens. We don't want anybody getting hurt, doing stupid stuff. Just." I think it's something they're aware of. I hope it's something they're aware of. Yeah, but at the same time, like Kevin said, as long as there's no like major increase in the chance of somebody getting hurt, I think it's great. I'm all for it. I mean, we've already seen in the training camp in the 2 days they've had it, significant changes from McCarthy training camp in terms of the pace and the from what I've read and what I've heard, the tempo and. So, I mean, I think it's good. I think they needed a big shakeup. They needed something to hit the refresh button. And having the Texans come to town, why not?
Yeah, and I think it's also good for a new coach to kind of put his stamp on things. Like, we're going to do things a little bit differently. Even if it doesn't really get you anything of consequence, right? Even if there's no real advantage to it,
yeah.
I think it's a good idea for Florida to really kind of put his stamp on the team this year. Kevin, what do you think?
Yeah, it's like a change of culture type thing. Doing things your way. Yeah, that's definitely a big part of it. my cat's like jumping in and out of the rafters, and it's distracting me. So. It's creeping me out.
Well, I mean, I don't blame you. All right, anything else on training camp? It is a lot of fun. If you're in driving distance of training camp, you've already been. I mean, I think that's pretty obvious. But I think the exciting part also, guys, is we are merely 2 weeks away from a preseason game. And that's kind of exciting because there will be Packers on a football field. And I do the same thing every year. I don't know about you, James, but every year I think I'm so excited. We are 2 weeks away from the first preseason game. And then about 8 minutes into the first preseason game, I'm like, all right.
All right.
Started. Yeah, as soon as the starters go away and it's like we're down to like the practice squad guys, as much as I want to like pad my resume, my Packers podcaster like knowledge resume with here's a guy that was undrafted and came from Appalachian State. And I really honestly couldn't care any less. I really couldn't. If we're never going to see those guys again.
It's really hard to get interested in,
and it's just not good. It's not good football. It's like incompletion, and gain of 2 on a. It's not fun.
Yeah, no, and so again, we're 2 weeks away from that not fun, which which will happen on a Thursday night. All right, Kevin, we ready for the next news story?
We're on number 3, right? Yeah, we are. Oh, yeah, we're good.
No.
Pat, grab a back and D lineman, Jack.
What? Can you try that again without the news voice? Because I didn't get it.
Pack, grab a back and D lineman, Jack.
All right, I liked it. Okay, I'm sorry. It didn't come through clearly for me. Okay. that was pretty good. So the Packers have signed 2 players and look, and if you're wondering how Mike Daniels didn't make the news, Mike Daniels his cut is bigger than the news. And we're gonna talk about him after the break. So the Packers sign running back Corey Grant and D lineman James. You're gonna pronounce this for me so that I don't accidentally call him Olive.
It's Olive.
Olive son of Olive, right?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Does anyone know anything about Corey Grant? Because I don't.
He played a bunch for the Panthers.
Right.
He played hold on a second. I read something earlier. Jaguars. Yeah, some sort of cat of prey.
It's a team with like teal in their.
Yeah, a large cat. He averaged 5.7 yards per carry for his career and like 8.5 yards per catch. But he doesn't have like a ton. He has like 15 catches.
It's amazing. You just pull Kevin, I think we're going to have to call you out. I think you did research.
I read I have to write the article. I have to know what the headline. I have to read more than the headlines to write the headlines, if that makes any sense.
More than just a pretty face you are.
So
that's false. I am not even that.
Any idea how many games he played last year? Sorry, I'm putting you on the spot on this one.
He played in a bunch. He only started 2. In his career, he's only started 2, and he's played in like 38 or something.
Okay. So this might be a spot back that gets some work, but it doesn't sound like he's a big pass catcher. So
he's super duper fast. Like
he's a good kick returner as well. I think he's a kick returner too.
That was my next question. Is he your kick returner now?
And he also sells popcorn. So
fast?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Shut up.
I'm
talking to myself.
I'm so confused.
That's a cue for myself.
And I'm still trying to fix
you're fixing something.
Broadcasting live. I'm not, because I was getting worried that we had 0 viewers, but then I realized Facebook decided not to broadcast our show. So I'm disappointed.
They just assumed there'd be no interest. Fair enough.
I can't blame him. James, what do you know about Olive? Don't call me Olive.
So he went to Wisconsin. He played for Wisconsin, and he was fun to watch. Like, this dude is a freak athletically. He got hurt last year, which I think is why he wasn't drafted.
Okay.
He had a fairly significant injury, missed most of last year, but there's a video out there on Twitter of him in the sand on the beach at 300 and
that sounds
300. He's like 365 pounds, I think, and he does a full standing backflip from a standing position, like incredible. And like, so he not that will be needed necessarily on the football field, hopefully.
I hope so.
That would really freak out an offensive lineman, though, wouldn't it? Just like
I'm in favor of him as a D lineman doing a backflip over the line and sacking the quarter. Maybe he would land and then suplex the quarterback in one motion.
There's a Packer lineman who is on his hands for the snap, lining up in his stand position.
He's a really good player, and when he went down last year, Wisconsin's defense actually suffered pretty bad. That's when they started to kind of nosedive. So I'm excited. I hope he makes the team. I really like him.
So this is a guy that has a chance because of his athleticism. You think he's still kind of raw, I guess?
Oh yeah, I mean he didn't play most of last year in college. He has no NFL experience. I mean he's raw, but he's got that athleticism. Goody has a type. Like he likes the athletic guys, and this guy fits the bill 100%.
All right, so so when we talk about later in the show what to watch for in training camp, it's guys like that you want to watch for, and those are the kind of guys that are fun to watch in those first couple of preseason games. And then once you get to like the guys who are going to be delivering packages for UPS the next week, that's when it gets a little less interesting.
Yeah.
So with these two, we got a new running back who may make the team as with kick returning abilities and his speed. You got a new D lineman that's going to have a chance because of his athleticism. These are the fun stories to watch, and we'll see how they do as they join this team. And of course, we know, as we'll talk about later in the show, there is an opening on the roster right now. Now, here's the thing I just saw, guys. We do have a viewer, so somehow one person has figured out how to watch us live, and that one person is David Bobke. Bobo, how you doing, man? So he's the only man that has figured out how to watch this live stream. I don't know what to tell you guys. All right, so it's just about time to go to break. And before we go to break, I want to talk about ways that you can help support the show. James, tell us about a way that our viewers or listeners can support the show that's free.
Go to Apple Podcasts and give us a 5-star review. And then when people are searching for Packers Podcasts, we'll pop up in the first 3 or 4 of them, and they'll look at us and go, hey, that looks like something I might listen to. And then they'll listen to us and fall in love just like you did. Leave us a review, like comment, and we'll read it on the show.
And I will read this one cold. We got one on Wednesday from JDK8982. It says it's 5 stars, so we're going to read it. I found this podcast early last year, and I enjoy their fan feel opinions and their clever bantering. Good job, guys. We were clever at some point. You never know what to expect from these guys. From a fan in Texas near the site of our last Super Bowl win, a.k.a. Lambeau South, this is an enjoyable podcast. Keep it up. Thanks very much, and we appreciate your reviews. They really do help, especially this Packers podcast market is saturated. Yeah, Kev.
I got to say, though, that seemed – thank you so much. It seemed a little bit backhanded, though, because it seemed like you wanted to make sure that people knew that we were not experts, right? It was like this fan-based podcast with 3 regular guys. Like, I just feel like, we're kind of undersold a little bit. But, I appreciate the 5 stars. Am I misreading that?
Yeah, well, I think you're misreading your own talent.
Well, no.
Come on, man.
I know where that is.
If you want to support the show with a monetary contribution, you can do that on patreon.com/TTSO. And as the season starts, we're going to get more bonus content out there. So please, this is the time to sign up. We could really use your support. And we have some of our OG patrons that we want to thank before we go to break. Kevin, who are they?
So we have 4 that I would like to particularly thank. You guys know that I'm planning my first trip to Disney in the next upcoming months. You guys have been several thousand times. And there's some like cool tricks and trades, you can learn about that. I learned that back when Toy Story first came out, when the character of Woody was, hanging out, if you would say, "Here comes Andy" or whatever, like he would fall to the ground like the toy, and in the movie. Well, there's also a few other hacks that have not been discontinued yet because, well, when you hear them, I mean, next time you go to Disney, try them out. It's pretty amazing, actually. So the first one is if you go up to Goofy, right, and you just say the word Viennetta, he's going to take off his Goofy helmet and eat an entire ice cream sandwich in under 1 minute. That's I don't understand it either, but that's what he does. If you go up to Jasmine and you say, "Here comes Scott Near," she'll swoon. God's honest truth. She swoons. I'm not sure what that looks like, but that's what it says in the guidebook. And of course, if you go to Gaston and you say, "Here comes Big Sexy," he's going to look around and go, "James Hamblin?" So that's what he does. And then finally, if you go up to Drizella, who is one of the stepsisters apparently, and you say, "Sing me a Mead song," she's going to sing you a very dirty limerick about Milo Mead song. That one you should probably hide the kids for. It's good, but it's
Disney After Dark.
It gets weird, yeah.
That is weird. All right. So thanks to all our OG patrons. Thanks to all of our patrons out there. We really appreciate it. And we're going to go to break. When we come back, we're going to talk about, well, Mike Daniels was cut, if you were unaware. And we'll also talk about what to expect or what to look for during training camp. All that after the break. We'll be back in roughly 2 minutes. And if you're viewing this, you can see us stare at each other. So...
This is Leroy Butler, and you're listening to Titletown Sound.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening every week. And now there's a way that you can support the show, and it won't cost you anything. If you use Amazon.com, you can use the TTSO Amazon page. We get a small commission, you help the show, and you pay no more than you normally would. So go to www.titletownsoundoff.com/Amazon and shop now. I'm sure Amazon has some things that you need. For instance, have you been thinking to yourself, "I don't smell quite enough like pork products"? Well, you can buy the Accoutrement Bacon Soap in Tin for only $8.50. And guess what? It's Prime eligible. Or maybe you need some reading material. You should purchase the book How to Avoid Huge Ships by Captain John W. Trimmer. Only $116 in paperback. Look, for that kind of advice, it's a steal. Or maybe you're doing some decorating. You should buy the Senior Woman with Asthma wall decal. It's like a fat head, but a grandmother using her asthma hair. All of these products are available through our Amazon page, and they help support the show. But you can buy anything. So again, that's www.titletownsoundoff.com/Amazon. Thanks very much.
This is Tom Crabtree, and you are listening to Titletown Sound.
So, gentlemen, I figured out the problem with our live stream. We have been streaming the whole time. Unfortunately, I didn't put the link in our Facebook group, so no one could find it.
Way to go.
They missed the first half of the show, which was terrible. Now, welcome to the second half of the show. It's going to be much better. So thanks to everybody who found the link on their own, since I couldn't provide it. Now we didn't talk about Mike Daniels getting cut in the beginning of the show because some of us are still in mourning and quite upset.
We're so much in mourning that we forgot to mention our next group of patrons.
Oh, our other patrons, some of which have joined us on the live stream.
Right,
so, James. But why don't you tell us about those before we move on?
All right. First of all, I would never forget you guys. Like I love you with all my heart. The cockles of my heart are warm for you. Can I say that? I did say that.
You just did.
All right. Yeah. So first off, we have Paul Goldsack, and then we have a very, very special Kyle Turpening. And accidentally omitted Kyle last week. So, Kyle, I apologize. You're the best. Paul, Kyle, Nick, who is still even in the video age, not John, Glenn. DJ, who could have a light foot, could have a heavy foot. I don't know, but his name is DJ Lightfoot. And Will Zine Savage, which is French for Zin Savage. So these guys actually have their own family night. And let me tell you, their laser show is 10 times better than Lambeau Fields. 10 times.
It's amazing.
And their beers are not nearly as expensive.
Thanks very much to all of our patrons, guys. We really appreciate it. And sorry that we didn't put the link in the group. We'll make sure we do it in the next week if there is a next week. So now I don't know how to get
canceled.
Yeah,
you just can't come and cancel us.
All right, guys. So we put it off long enough. The day before training camp, right? The day before training camp, we learned that Mike Daniels, one of the cornerstones of this team, had been cut. And I don't know about you, but I was floored by this news. Absolutely shocked. James, you felt the same way?
I was, absolutely shocked. It was completely unexpected. I would have never thought it.
Again, we always talk when we talk about this defense. Part of what we talk about is how Mike Daniels is able to be, really lock down that defense, and especially in the run game. And he's such a presence. Kevin, when you heard the news, what was your reaction?
I mean, I honestly was shocked at first, but after a few minutes, it became less shocking because I've noticed more of a direction, just the personnel in general. Like I mentioned earlier with the free agent signings, it kind of made.
Hey! Secret word.
Which means I'm going to have to break out a new fresh beer. And Kevin forgot to bring his drink, so here's to the secret word.
Hang on, I gotta use my Curacao bottle opener.
Man, I'm so mad that I have motor oil. Does that count?
Holy crap, that was cold. The mountains were blue.
James going straight Mackenzie Brothers.
Woo!
All right, so what were you saying?
I don't know. I was just So I was saying that with the way that the free agency period went, and just the direction that the team is heading in general and the way the defense was last year, it was shocking at first, but I kind of got over it kind of quickly, honestly. It was I think I'm maybe more than you guys, at least earlier on, more looking forward to seeing what the new defense meant versus what his departure, versus, rather than looking at him leaving.
Right. So you mentioned a different type of player that this team seems to be looking for. So Daniel's at about 6 foot. First of all, he's 30 years old, and we know how the Packers organization has been with 30-year-old players. They'd rather get rid of you a season too early than a season too late. But not only was he 30, he was 6 foot, right? Just about 6 foot. The next shortest defensive lineman on this roster was 6'3". So they're clearly going for longer, more athletic players. But still, with what he's meant to this team, it was still a surprise. Now, James, we did hear the Packers tried to shop him. They tried to get some trade work, tried to trade him, and they got no takers. Why do you think?
Well, pretend that you are going to the store, and you know they're going to discontinue your favorite brand of pierogies, and you go to the store and they say, "Here, we'll put it on sale for you." When you know that you could probably just get them for free later on somehow because pierogi. I don't know. Look, when you start
they're about
shopping,
to expire. They're expired pierogies.
When you start shopping around like that, a veteran defensive lineman who everybody considers to be more or less the cornerstone of your group, and you suddenly just decide, let's start seeing if somebody will trade for him. That's a huge red flag. that means that you are going to release him. And why in the world would any team give you anything when they know they're going to get, they're going to be able to go out and get him without giving up draft picks or other players? So I think Mike Daniels' agent has been extremely busy today, kind of getting in Ian Rappaport's ear, because Rappaport just can't stop tweeting about how 47 teams wanted him, and I don't know, I don't buy it.
Okay, so we know that at least 2 teams were interested. The names that I have heard, or the 2 teams that I heard, were the Browns and the Lions. Now, the Browns obviously didn't end up with him. He is going to the Lions, where he will play the Packers twice every year. It's depressing to see a player that you like and you still think has something left in the tank go to a division rival. But Kevin, the Packers save, and let me look at the numbers here. The Packers save $8.3 million in cap space by getting rid of Daniels this year, giving them $15 million in cap space. And the thing is, as Andy Herman pointed out on Twitter, the thing with cap space is you don't lose it. If they don't use this $8.5 million this year, they can carry that over to next year when you have a lot of free agents who are up, that need to be re-signed. So I'm sure that Kevin had to play a part.
Yeah, I mean, that's if football wasn't a business, then money wouldn't matter, but it does. So you got to cut it where you can, and you're right. When you got a 30-year-old guy who's injured a lot, or could, he's possibly on the way down.
But before last year, possibly
on the way down is how I'd rather say that. I think again that's why it's. Yep, exactly. I think that's exactly why it's. Why I can stomach it.
And so, James, what tell me your kind of impression of this whole thing. Like, how does this leave you feeling?
Well,
betrayed.
Lay down on the couch, though, because I feel like this is like a Dr. Phil moment.
What you need is...
How are you feeling?
Look, I don't know anything. I don't know any more than anybody else. I don't know. I certainly don't know as much as people at 1265. But he got cut the day after physicals. He missed a good portion of last season with a pretty serious foot injury.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a doctor and I'm not an insider, but 2 and 2 usually equal 4. Now, that being said, if he does have the injury is significant enough still, I'm not sure why Detroit would give him that much money. That's what kind of sticks in my craw about it. But that being said, he's hurt. He's on the downside. He's still a very good player. Don't get me wrong. He's in the elite echelon of defensive linemen, but he's not going to be there any much longer. And the Packers, I trust them. They have a pretty good history of knowing when the right time is to get rid of somebody. It doesn't, it still sucks. I liked Mike Daniels, and we're going to miss him, I think, but I'm not too worried about it.
They made Kyler Fackrell good, so I think they can. I'm optimistic they can stomach this.
I have now elevated Mike Pettin to Hall of Fame status because of what Kyler Fackrell did last year. It might be overrating him, but I think there's more to this story. Will we ever hear it? I don't know. Because I had heard rumors that Mike Daniels wasn't a great locker room guy. And I know that the narrative is the exact opposite. I have no sources. I have no insider knowledge, of course, because I wouldn't be sitting on my couch podcasting on, at 11 o'clock on a Friday night if I did.
You would.
But I've heard rumors that he wasn't a great locker room guy, that his attitude got in the way. And I think I'll bet you that I think that's likely based on what's happened here, because he certainly wasn't a guy that you'd say, oh, he's over the hill. He's not. But you're now saying with the athletic guys that we've got, with the taller, longer guys that we've got, with the cap space that we'll get, we are a better team without Mike Daniels on this roster than we are with him on the roster. And that is a big, that's a statement that if you had said that a week ago, I probably would not have believed you. But I guess my question about his impact or the impact of not having him on this roster is, James, what does this mean? Like, what does this mean for the team? How does the team
It means that Kenny Clark is the man now. Everything Mike Daniels was before, that's all on Kenny Clark now. And to a certain extent, Dean Lowry, but this is Kenny Clark's defensive line. And he needs to step up and be that locker room leader and take them where they need to go. And I think he can do it. And I think he'll have support. Obviously, obviously the Smith brothers, who aren't really brothers, but I call them that because they have the same common last name. The Smiths, they've been around longer. They're veterans, but they haven't been on the team. Kenny Clark is a stud, man. He's been a stud for a couple years, and he hasn't gotten his due regard in the NFL. And I think this is the year that changes. And like you said, with Mike Pettin, anything is possible. I'll follow that dude to the moon. He's the Pope.
With Mike Pettin, anything is possible. Mike Pettin, God, Jesus, whatever, same thing. I mean, look, this way. God tried to make Kyler Fackler a football player and failed. Mike Pettin succeeded. So, I'm not saying he's better than God. I'm just saying the results speak for themselves.
It's very John Lennon like right there.
I'm not worried about this team because I think as a whole, this defense has improved so much, and they improved, remember, really without much of Mike Daniels last year. He was either hurt or he kind of disappeared. And I'm sure that performance last year, along with his injuries and with whatever other issues there were, all contributed to them thinking, you know what, we'd rather have that 8 point whatever million in cap space than we would having this player on our team.
Plus,
go ahead.
That Clark needs to get paid. They need to re-sign him. They need to extend him. And I don't
remember all of the free agents, but we've gone over how many vital free agents there are next year for the Packers. And to free up this space makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm trying to actually look up the free agents because there'll be the 2020 free agents just to see what we're dealing with, because it's that $9 million, $8 whatever million is going to be really important. And look, if anything tells you that the Packers made the right move, it's the fact that the Lions signed him for $9 million. I mean, is there a team, Kevin, with a worse track record of signing guys that pay too much for guys than the Lions?
If you want to count Kirk Cousins, then maybe one. But no, I mean, your point is well taken.
So why do?
God.
No, I was just going to ask why, NFC North teams poach from us so much. It's insane. But anyway.
So here's the list of players that are free agents: Brian Bulaga, Tremont Williams, Mason Crosby, who we've already predicted will not be back. I don't know that he'll be back next year, depending on what the cap hit is like. Geronimo Allison, Mercedes Lewis, Jason Spriggs.
God.
Fackrell will be a free agent. I cannot wait to see what his next contract looks like, whether with the Packers or whoever. Blake Martinez.
If he has a good year this year, it'll be big. It'll be silly.
Trevor Davis. I'm just looking at players that actually matter.
I hope none of the players' parents are listening.
Gerhard DeVere, that's an important one. I think this is an accurate 2020 free. No, these are 2019 free agents. Yeah, whatever. That's not right. Just disregard the last 30 seconds of the podcast. Because I don't know if that information was correct. We've gone over it before. We've gone over the players that are free agents in 2020. It's a significant number. The Packers are going to have to be ready for that. And if they're not, if they don't have enough cap space, what I like that what they've done, James, is that they're built for now, but they have not mortgaged the future for it.
Right. Yeah, they've done a good job. This offseason has been pretty impressive, in fact, in terms of building up the team to be successful this year, but also leaving enough money to further that success for the future. So yeah, I mean Russ Ball and Goody and they've done a fantastic job doing all that. So kudos to them.
And I guess our takeaway is this was not a terrible move, even if we were surprised by it. Trust the process. This defense will be better this year with or without Mike. Well, without Mike Daniels. Fair enough.
He could come back. You never know.
Well, he probably won't. All right. So the next thing we want to talk about is, we mentioned training camp opens for the Packers. I want to talk to you guys about what you're looking for in training camp. What kind of news are you looking for other than, and obviously number one is hopefully no injuries, right? You don't want any injuries in training camp. But what are the storylines that you're looking to come out of training camp that you think will be the most important? James, I'll start with you.
Well, obviously the defense. I want to see them continue to improve. And from the first 2 days, everything that I've read, they've been lights out. They've been fantastic. But for me, I'm really interested to see the wide receiver group. Trevor Davis, where does he fit in? Does he fit in? Will he be cut? I mean, where Kumaro, where does he fit in? Will he be cut? I mean, you have a pretty.
Don't say that.
I know. I know there's nothing all white about that. But I mean, you look at the wide receiving core. You have after Devontae Adams, and there's a little bit of a drop. Then it's a MVS, and then it's kind of like okay, and the Geronimo's in there too. But then it's like, all right, where are all these guys going to shake out, and where are they going to land? That's what I want to see is where are we going to end up with all these guys with the wide receiving group?
Kevin, what are you looking for?
I'm looking for what shakes down in the safety position. I'm looking forward to how that ends up. And replacing Mike Daniels, what that's going to look like. Montravius Adams and who's going to fill that role. I think that's probably most what I'm looking forward to.
Yep.
Also, moonlit dinners and candlelight walks on the beach. I like those things too.
Do you have to carry the candles, or are they already in the sand, or how does that work?
Those
I really think that.
I don't think they have much to do with training camp.
I got sidetracked. I apologize.
It's romantic, though. Romantic as hell.
I know. It turned on. What I'm looking forward to is backup quarterback play. I need a new jersey. So, I'm looking to see how this offense gels because as good as the defense was, or at least as improved as the defense was last year, what I'm worried about is how is this offense under a new head coach going to perform? How are they going to develop? And how are they going to be more dynamic than they've been in the past? I mean, James, the number one complaint we've had about this offense for the last, really probably 5 or 6 years has been how can they be more dynamic, more fun? Mike McCarthy made this offense as boring as you can possibly make it with Aaron Rodgers. So, James, what do you think? Are we going to see that in training camp?
Well, yeah, I think we are. If nothing else, it's going to be different, which will be fun to watch because it's something that we're not used to. I've already seen reports of fake end around, passes, lining up Aaron Jones and having him go on wheel routes past middle linebackers. Like to me, that if I was wearing sweatpants, you wouldn't be able to have this podcast on YouTube right now. I'm giving myself way too much credit. But no, seriously, like that kind of stuff. The modernization of the Green Bay Packers offense. That's what I'm looking for. Yes. Bring us up to the rest of the NFL because I'm tired of lagging behind.
James Hamblin asks in the chat, are we going to get any meaningful sense of how LaFleur is as a coach before they start playing real games? I'm going to answer because I think the answer is unfortunately no. I don't think you see anything, other than a mutiny by the players, which would be, if you're keeping score, that would be a negative. Other than that, I don't think you're going to get a sense of how he's performing or what he's doing as a head coach. Kevin, anything that you can think of that is going to show you that he's a good head coach before they start playing real games?
No, I mean nothing that'll point to his skill as a head coach, but I mean obviously there are things that point to his differentness as a head coach, right? So I think that's kind of what I would have to look at is you can't really judge goodness or badness at this point because the football doesn't actually matter. So I'm kind of judging it more or less how we're trying to shift from the last regime into this next one. And so from that standpoint, I think that there's been a lot of progress made. So I'm optimistic, if that makes any sense. I think it did. I think that made sense because that made sense. I don't have to defend it. That made sense.
So yeah, it did. I think that made sense, which is rare. So that's good. We do have, I forget what's on the lineup next. Let me open the doc. All right, we got some voicemails. I knew that. Oh. We got some voicemails from a couple of our listeners. One before the Mike Daniels cut, and one after. The first one, I believe, refers to something that was mentioned on the bonus show. So those of you who are not patrons may not have heard this, but here's Eli.
Hey guys, this is Eli. It's been a long summer. Haven't responded to anything in a while, but I was listening to one of the most. I know there's this age-old adage that you are supposed to not encourage children, like when they say a curse word, you're not supposed to laugh.
This is where he calls us children.
That it's funny and they should do it more. Things like that, Don't encourage bad behavior by laughter. So what I'm about to say is a dangerous precedent I'm setting, but I got to admit that Kevin was on a roll with the jokes last week, especially when he said, "Have you ever taken the beef bus to Titletown?" Probably the hardest I've laughed at the podcast. So, Kevin, props. Hope you guys are enjoying the summer. Staying cool. It's like 110 degrees today.
Yeah, so that was a reference to a joke made on the bonus show. Just so that you know, if you're not a patron, that's the quality type of entertainment you get when you tune into the bonus show.
It is real highbrow kind of stuff.
It's all clever, and yeah. All right, our next voicemail is from our good friend Gabe and his friend.
Hey guys, it's Gabe, and of course, my buddy right here. Anyway, well, kind of hard to believe that Mike Daniels got released. I mean, I don't know all the details. I hadn't read anything. I just saw a bunch of articles, headline articles. But I mean, I hate to say, but I mean, it's business, and that's how the way things are. And I just truly wish him the best, though. But on the brighter side of things, I just wanted to say that it's the most wonderful time of the year. Yep, training camp is here, y'all. So, anyway, that's what we could get excited about. So, well, anyway, looking forward to hearing another podcast from y'all, and hope you all had a great summer. So, anyway, good night, God bless, and go Pack, go.
Thank you, Gabe, and Gabe's left blinker.
What is it? What hemisphere does Gabe live in? We still got like a month and a half left this summer, right?
Yeah, we're close enough to August, which is like the wrap-it-up time.
We got a month.
Yeah, roughly. Yeah, you're right.
It's a little too soon to be saying, I hope you had a good summer.
He lives in El Paso, where it's summer 382 days a year.
Oh,
like,
wow.
it's
no idea. I guess it's summer.
So here's a storyline that I didn't hear about that our patron Jason Hicks just let me know. The Packers apparently fired bike lady Tammy. Do you guys know, James, do you know who she is?
I mean, I know who she is just from when I've been up there, but I don't know her.
It sounds like an SNL sketch played by Chris Farley.
So it's not. I remember her from when we took the girls up to training camp. So I'm going to follow her on Twitter and see if we can get her to come on the show. Probably not, but you never know. So if you're out there and you're friends with her, we'd like to talk to her about what happened. She's been there for forever, from what I know. Like, it's been
for a long time.
Is there any story whatsoever at this point, or would it all be hearsay?
All I've seen on Twitter is that somebody complained about something, and she got fired. So I don't know.
But more importantly, did I use the word hearsay right?
No.
More or less. No, I don't know.
As a lawyer, I can tell you no. I can say that now because I got reinstated to the bar. That's a whole other story. All right. If you listened to the bonus show,
I also got reinstated to the bar.
You heard us talk. You heard us talk about our favorite new website, Cameo. So Cameo.com is a website where you can go and get D-level celebrities to record videos for you. This, by the way, you need to have a solid hour and a half of your day free before you visit Cameo.com because you will be consumed with finding cheap-ass celebrities that will send you a video. But what we found is that there are Green Bay Packers on this website, and one of them we used our patrons' money to purchase a video. And can I tell you, this was $10, the best $10 this podcast has ever spent. We'll link the video on our Facebook page as well as on our Twitter account, but here is the audio from that $10. Brilliant.
Hey, this is Gerard de Beer, and you're listening to Titletown Sound Podcast. Just want to give a shout out to Chris, James, and Kevin. How's it going? Hope you guys are enjoying it. Go Pack, go.
For $10, we got an endorsement. But first of all, it's Gerard. We've been pronouncing it. And second of all, I think my favorite part of Cameo is that most of the celebrities appear as though they literally just rolled out of bed to record these things for you.
Yeah.
It's the best website ever created.
So a couple of my favorite, there was one adult film star who was filming hers in front of a gigantic X-rated mural that was behind her, so that was nice.
Well, I mean,
and then the other one,
and the camera over to the left. I have 2 or 3 X-rated murals.
And they're of you. I know. I've seen them. I commissioned them.
Happy Father's Day.
It was some sort of sibling celebration, I think.
Oh,
that'd be weird for Father's Day.
That would be weird for any reason, Kevin. If you purchased me an erotic mural, that's weird for any reason, not just for Father's Day. Let's get that clear.
Okay. All right.
I believe we found our episode title, episode 204, Erotic Mural.
All right. Well, I need to make some calls then, I guess. But save some money. Let's save some money. So,
Gerard, thank you very much. If you are in the market to have a Packer leave you a video message, you can get some for
Brett Favre is only $500.
That's pricey for like a 15-second video.
Well, yeah, but you can't mention the website and not bring up the fact that Brett Favre is in fact available.
Brett Favre's available. Jamal Williams is available. Aaron Jones is available for like $60. That's a steal.
Gabe, I'm looking in your direction.
We should have just taken a video when we were getting autographs, and then we would have had our own cameo.
I'm going to consider. I think we got to consider getting Aaron Jones, but all right. So that's about it. It's time to close up this shop. Thank you to those of you who viewed us live online. To those of you who didn't, you're probably better off. This will be still available as an audio podcast, obviously, and video podcast on YouTube. So go subscribe to our YouTube page. We will leave it in the show notes. We'd really appreciate if you did that because we don't have nearly enough subscribers compared to how many people listen to this show. James, before we get out of here, what do you got to add?
Thanks everybody for watching and listening. I'm sorry that I take up so much of your computer screen with my ugliness. I promise you I'll work on that. If you've made it, what are we, like 60 minutes and 34 seconds into this thing?
We are approximately 59 minutes into the show.
Damn it, I'm usually better than that. Tweet us the word. We're gonna go with esophagus.
Ooh, that's an interesting choice.
I don't know why.
All right, Kev, what do you got?
I just want to say that we are in, at least I'm in, first day of training camp form today. So hopefully,
slightly out of shape.
Yeah, just the jokes are a little. I had marbles in my mouth for one of my headlines, so I think I'm gonna do some oral exercises before the next podcast. What's so funny about that, James?
Oh Lord, because last time you did those, I had to bail you out.
Okay, all right. Let's maybe it's better if we just stop the show now. All right, thanks everybody who listened. Thanks everybody who contributed via Patreon. Thanks everybody who downloads. We really appreciate it. The season's coming up. We're going to get back to making sure we're doing an episode every week, maybe even on the same night of the week every week. We'll see.
Consistency.
Well, it hasn't been our strong suit in the off season, but we really do appreciate everybody who stuck around with us. As the season approaches, let's just hope for no injuries and, a better offense than last year because I can't take it anymore. I can't take a boring offense with Aaron Rodgers. All right. Take it easy, everybody. Good night. Go Pack, go. The preceding podcast was a production of Productions Institute, LLC. Copyright 2019. All rights reserved. Don't steal our crap.